continuing on in our talk about logical fallacies and the different types, I'm going to move on to the next fallacy type that has been presented to you, which is a false or weak analogy. If you recall, an analogy is a technique used to connect two seemingly dissimilar things to highlight their similarities so that it makes understanding something or some type of difficult concept much easier to understand. Now, in the case of a faulty analogy, the task is the same, where people are trying to use dissimilar objects so that similarities can be identified, and so you can make some type of connection. However, it's not always effective because sometimes individuals will try to force similarities where there are none or very few, or the dissimilarities far outweigh the similarities of the two objects. And a faulty analogy takes on the form, and you can think of this as almost like a math problem, where A is like B. B has property X, and therefore A also has property X. Strictly because B does. However, that's not always the case. You see this all the time in newspaper ads or television ads, print ads, where there's this attempt on the part of advertisers to sell products with the idea that a person is similar to a watch. In this instance, you have the text saying that you have something that's unstoppable. Eli Manning is, and so is his Citizen Eco Drive watch here. Yay. Happy joy. He has a watch. Fueled by light, and it never needs a battery. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Eli Manning? Or are you talking about good old Eco Drive here? The idea is that both are unstoppable, and it's just like the people, in this instance, the watch is just like the people who wear it. However, a watch is not a person is not a watch. There are some similarities on some level, but the dissimilarities, those things that are not the same between the two of them, far outweigh anything that is similar between the two. In the next type of fallacy, we have a straw man. And you can literally think of a straw man. This nice person who, this is a really crappy drawing. I don't even know exactly what, well, think of this as a straw. I guess you could think of that as a straw. Okay, so instead of a person with real substance to it, with real limbs and things of that nature, shoulders and arms and a real body, instead of attacking that, or what often people would do would be to attack the straw man, this image of something that we know is not intelligent, like this person over here does not have the same capacity of feeling and thought and reason as this person right here. But I'm going to take this nice straw man instead, because it's so much easier to beat up on the picture of this person as opposed to that person themselves. We do that type of action all the time when we have those conversations that I would have said this and I should have said that. And if I had been there, I would have told so-and-so such and such, usually in a negative way. However, when we get to that person, very rarely do those words come out of our mouths. A straw man essentially has this structure as well. Person A has a specific position. It's position X. Now, what person B does, the opponent, is presents a position that is labeled Y. And what Y is, though, is a distorted slightly different, changed a bit, version of this original position here. So there's some elements of position X inside of Y, but they are not one and the same. And so what person B does, though, is they attack position Y. Now remember, Y is just a simpler version of X. And so therefore, since they are attacking position Y, the position that they had for position X is actually fall. But what's interesting is the fact that X isn't flawed. It's not incorrect, because there was never any argument against X. The argument turned out to be really against Y. Let's look at an example. So we have this couple who are arguing about cleaning out their closets, and the woman says that, we should, clean them out because they're getting fairly messy. And Bill responds with his straw man argument, why? We just went through those closets last year. Do we have to clean them out every day? Now Jill, being the smart person she is, recognizes the straw man for what it is and says, okay, I never said anything about cleaning them out every day. That was your argument, not my argument. In fact, you know what? You just want to keep all your, and that's just take that out. Here we go. That shouldn't be there. So you just want to keep all of your junk forever, which is just ridiculous. So Jill actually does recognize the fact that Bill is attacking a small portion of her argument that actually is quite distorted. The only thing that's similar is the cleaning and the fact that it's a closet. But Jill says just clean them out. Bill says clean them out every day. That's not the same argument at all. And she attacks him on that. We hope that the closets got clean. I think for Bill's sake, they did get clean, because I think Jill would probably be very upset with him. The next and last type of fallacy in this series is the either-or fallacy, also known as a false dilemma. This really is an oversimplification of something, and what it does is creates a false problem as opposed to a true one. There's a question where you're going from one extreme to another extreme, and you forget all about the stuff that's in the middle. And so here we see what's to be done about our trade imbalance with the continent of Asia. So there is a problem that we need to solve. On some level, you could think of this as a possible potential claim of policy, that we need to make some type of specific type of change. And so the response to that, the evidence that they use to support this idea of doing something about the trade imbalance is we're either going to ban all of the Asian imports, or American industry, in this instance, is going to collapse. It's either that or that. There is no in between. Now, we all know that there are lots of things that can be done as opposed to banning every single import that comes from the Asian continent. And we also know that the American industry as an entire whole is not going to collapse completely. At least we hope not. But there are lots of things that could be said, but this person instead only gave us two. So there's a false problem that occurs, or a false dilemma. It's like, oh my gosh, either we're going to ban everything, or oh my gosh, our economy, or our industry is going to collapse. But false dilemmas are used quite often in popular media, in political races, you name it, people do it all the time. Parents do it when they're trying to steer their children into not doing something. You either do this or this is going to happen. Just completely forgetting about the fact that there are probably 50 other possibilities that could occur. But parents are quite effective at using those types of false dilemmas, and they can be fairly effective for children, especially young children, who don't know because they haven't experienced it yet, the different elements that go into things. One final example, this is from former President George W. Bush in a radio address that he gave in 2005. It's a much longer address, and this is not his entire speech. But he says here, our troops know that they're fighting in Iraq, Afghanistan, and elsewhere to protect their fellow Americans from a savage enemy. They know that if we do not confront these evil men abroad, notice the word if, we will have to face them one day in our own cities and streets, and they know that the safety and security of every American is at stake in this war, and they know we will prevail. So it's either confront them, either confront them, or, I want to make sure people notice this, either we confront, and where are we confronting them? Abroad, so we're leaving American soil. Either we do that here, leave, and confront, or we're going to face them one day in our own towns and cities. Stay and fight. And when you think about it, no one really wants to have a war on American soil. So the idea is, okay, we need to do this over here, leave and go to Iraq and Afghanistan so that we can protect American interests. But still forgetting about the fact that there are loads of other things in that gray area. So that ends this section of fallacy breakdown, and stay tuned for the next.